Hi, this is my video review for Carcosa, the campaign setting for old school games, particularly Lamentations of the Flame Princess. I first learned about Carcosa when I read Robert W. Chambers' excellent book, The King in Yellow. Uh, that book is a collection of short stories that talk about horrifying beings, about being a student in France, an art student, and if you want to enjoy subtle horror and romance, and you want to experience a bit what life studying in France is all about, I recommend the book. It's a bit snobbish at some points, but I think it's really good overall. Well, let's get to the subject matter here. Carcosa comes with a warning label, a warning for adults only. This, I consider it the equivalent of the most dangerous black magic book in role-playing games. You can see it's a pretty alien book with no human language. It even has a symbol over here, like a weird, mysterious alien symbol. This book is very controversial. Well, first of all, it's a beautiful book. A sturdy cover, and it feels kind of like leather. And this is not just an illustration; it's kind of engraved or inlaid into the cover, and the paper is good quality. It feels a bit old-fashioned, but it's very resistant, and the ink is great. Great quality ink. A lot of cool illustrations. I will show you some of them, and it even has two color maps here and here. Well, first of all, let me talk a bit about the controversy surrounding this book. This book is really for adult gaming. There are pretty gruesome descriptions of gore, violence, rituals, really black magic rituals, rituals concerning the sacrifice and raping of women and children. It's like it reminds me a bit of the Book of Vile Darkness. It's pretty heavy stuff, and if you don't play it with the right kind of people, those who can tell that this is just a nightmarish fantasy and nothing else, you're going to have a bad time. But I think you can really have some intense role-playing sessions if you play it with a mature group who can separate fantasy from reality. Well, first of all, the Carcosa. Carcosa is originally a city, but this book talks about an entire planet feeding on the mythos and stories that surround this city. It's called the Hostile Planet, and there are so many weird and dangerous things in there. I don't think anybody would like to live in there, on that planet. Well, the book is interesting because right off the bat it tells you about the dice system used in this game, in this setting. Everything is random. Your character has different hit points during each battle. Each battle can result in a really advantageous encounter for you, or a really disadvantageous one. What I mean is, for example, let's say you're playing a fighter and suddenly you bump into a group of deep ones. The fighter has to roll his hit dice during this particular battle to see how much hit points he has. So he might end up really lucky with maximum hit points, even more than he would normally have at his level and base class. But he may be unlucky and roll just once, and he will be probably dead by the end of that encounter. And the same thing happens with magic and with just with normal attacks. For example, if you attack with a broadsword during a battle, you may actually roll a lot of high numbers, but in the next battle it could be really low. But this goes further than just getting the maximum number on a single die. So sometimes you roll a higher die that you should normally roll. For example, if a weapon rolls an 8-sided die during a particular encounter, you may be able to roll a 12-sided die. So things are always random here in Carcosa. It's a game of a lot of lethality. Your characters may die easily, but they may also suddenly have a burst of power, even ridiculous. So, for example, if a character is wielding a small knife, sometimes that knife will deal as much damage as a two-handed sword. So it's all very random, and sometimes it makes weapon preferences a bit pointless. Except alien weapons, I'll get to that in a bit. There are two character classes in Carcosa. One is the fighters. We all know what a fighter does. He kills things with weapons. He's skilled in the use of weapons, armor, etc. But there are also sorcerers. Sorcerers are just like fighters, but they take a bit more experience to level up. And besides that, they are able to use powerful rituals to summon and banish things and torture entities. And these rituals are the most controversial part of the book, I think. Almost every ritual except for banishings has something to do with sacrificing a group of men, women, children, I think the elderly too, and sometimes it also involves rape. So it's a pretty controversial aspect of the book. Do not play with this setting if you don't have the stomach for that kind of thing. Here in Carcosa, there are only humans. Well, I mean, you can only play as a human. No dwarves, no elves. But these men are pretty different from us. These men are multicolored. For example, there are blue men, green men, red men. There are also white and black men, but when I say white, I mean bleached white, completely white, and black, obsidian black. And there are also some colors that we haven't seen on this planet. For example, all firemen, dome men, jail men. They can only be described in this book in terms of emotions and impressions. For example, let's see here. Dome stands in the same relation to jail as green to red, so it's a bit ambiguous. They also give more description here. For example, jail color. Just as blue is delicate and mysterious, yellow clear and unsubtle, and red sanguine and passionate, so he felt all fire to be wild and painful, and jail dreamlike, feverish and voluptuous. So it's pretty hard to visualize these colors. How can you imagine something that you haven't seen? But that also makes this setting pretty special. And the alignment is basically three alignment choices. There's law for those that oppose the great old ones, because this book is packed with Lovecraftian references. There's Cthulhu, there's Azathoth, there's Nyarlathotep. Oh my god, I hope I didn't summon those things by accident. But there are a lot of Lovecraftian nastiness here, and nasty creatures. And those of the alignment of law are supposed to fight them and or oppose them, and those of the neutral alignment couldn't care less. And chaos alignment serves the great old ones. There are also a bit of psionic powers here in this book, but it's very difficult for your character to have psionic abilities. You will need a very high score of wisdom, charisma, and intelligence to have a small percentage, a total percentage chance, or even less, they develop psionic abilities. And these abilities are random every day. Sometimes you may be able to use a mental blast of pure energy to damage your enemies, or sometimes you would get precognition, telepathy, clairaudience, mind control, and all that kind of psionic skills or powers. There's also a lot of Black Lotus in Carcosa. You remember Black Lotus from stories like Conan the Barbarian and all that. There are Black Lotus, Blue Lotus, Green Lotus, and all those flowers have different effects. They're usually used as poison. There's also a alien technology littered all over the place of Carcosa, all over the planet. It's very interesting. I think the greatest chance the characters have to survive is to take control of or steal or plunder alien technology, so they can use these weapons against the alien life forms that are all over Carcosa. There are grenades, rocket launchers. There could be ray guns, battle armor. You know, kind of like the power armor from the Space Marines in Warhammer 40k. There are a lot of things the characters may use, high technology weaponry that the characters may employ in their battle against different foes, because everything on Carcosa is trying to kill the humans. And they overpower the humans by a lot. Humans are really fragile and squishy here in Carcosa. Oh, one other particular kind of human in Carcosa that I think is very interesting are the bone men. The bone men in Carcosa, every tissue except the bones is transparent. So when you see a bone man, you see like a walking skeleton covered in fleshy, transparent matter. That's pretty interesting. There are also alien artifacts that may enhance the psionic powers of a character. And there are many artifacts, relics that the players will probably have no idea on how to use, and they only have a small percentage chance of understanding how to use them. The game also gives a lot of a lot of room, a lot of space for you to design your own alien weaponry and artifacts. That's one of the most fun aspects of this setting. You can imagine almost everything and toss it into the setting, and it makes sense because it's a menagerie of horror, sci-fi, fantasy. And each of these little hexagons in the map has two adventure seats that are very, even though the description is very short, you can easily build an entire campaign around just 2 or 3 hexes, or maybe just one. For example, let me read you a small sample description of one of the hexes here. On a gibbet hangs a human skeleton in the merest tatters of clothing. The skeleton's skull has been replaced with the skull of a vaguely equine alien creature. And you're wondering, oh, what is that? Who put that skeleton there? Why does it have an equine-looking skull? Why? There are so many questions that may pop up. And another description: campsite of orange cultists led by a chaotic fighter. These men are on their way to the black abomination of Nyarlathotep, though they keep their destination a secret. For example, this could be a hostile encounter where the characters clash with this group of cultists, or in a very twisted campaign, the characters may even try to become cultists themselves and worship Nyarlathotep. And so on. There are many others, hexagons with interesting adventure seats, statues with eyes in places there shouldn't be, corpses littered around with no apparent sign of death or why they are there, trees with so many weird things, ruins, forgotten mummies. There are so many things that you can use in this book. I think this book can last you a lifetime. You will never run out of ideas, and in the weird case you actually exhaust all the things in here, you can even create your own with so many references and tools this book is giving you. And as I told you, that the rituals there's a whole chapter detailing the gross rituals, and they are very heavy on violence and gore and sex. So you really need to have a strong stomach to read these descriptions and employ them. Most of all, use them when you are playing, because you're going to really feel like you are there performing those rituals, and that really sometimes it feels a lot worse than any horror movie you can imagine. We also have a bestiary with a lot of Lovecraftian monsters. There are Vyakis, Cathugas, crawling ones. There's also Cthulhu, And Cthulhu is looks pretty impossible to beat. He has a ton of hit dice, and he can kill you just by looking at you. And you have also gray aliens, you know, those little skinny guys with big head, black eyes, and all the beasts here are trying to kill the human race in one way or another. Also, a lot of slimes, molds, jellies. And some of those monsters, even the stronger ones, some deity-like creatures, can be controlled with by the means of the rituals, of the gross rituals that I was talking about. So that's an incentive for you to stomach through all the nastiness of the rituals. You can perform this ritual that says, oh, you have to kill 34 males and rape women and things, and there are some pretty nasty things. I believe there were even grosser things that I don't remember right now. But the player has the incentive that if I go through all this gross stuff, I'll probably be able to summon this elder god and have it do my bidding. And okay, the book comes with a small adventure called the where is it? The Fungoid Gardens. Here it is. Fungoid Gardens of the Bone Sorcerer. This is a pretty open sandbox type adventure where the players decide where to go. They don't necessarily have to enter the Fungoid Gardens. They may even backtrack a little bit. I ran an RPG Geek a play-by-forum campaign. If you go there, you may watch the entire campaign. I'm sorry, the adventure, because it was really more of a one-shot thing, and you can see how my players went through a lot of difficult moments. Right off the bat, two of the players died almost immediately. One simple mistake can kill you, and the other two, who are Marco Arnaudo from Board Game Geeks, watch his video reviews are amazing. You should watch them. And Christopher, I don't remember his last name, but his username is Clue Weeks, I think. Was also one of the only two players who survived the adventure. They were excellent role players, and they went through the entire Fungoid Gardens using whatever resource was available to them. And if you go there and at RPG Geek, you can see the whole adventure and read all the hard stuff and tough moments they went through. And at the end of the book, you have a little bit more information about the setting in general and robots. A lot of random generation tables to create all sorts of weird robots. For example, take a look at this one. They have tentacles, laser beams. They have a lot of weird weaponry, and that's just like scrape the tip of the iceberg. You can create almost anything. For example, Shub-Niggurath, the famous Lovecraft deity, it looks like she has been breeding all over Carcosa, because there are hundreds and hundreds of Shub-Niggurath's children, a spawn of Shub-Niggurath, waiting to kill the characters in some way. There are also a lot of places where you can get mutated accidentally. That's pretty gross. Can you see all the mouths and eyes and tentacles growing out of this poor dude's body? And so you have to be careful too where you are walking and which places you go into, because your character may actually mutate in some ways. Some of these mutations are actually beneficial, but it looks pretty gross overall. Look at this other illustration with this like monster, Lovecraftian monster eating some cultists or something. Well, and that's. Let me show you another illustration. There are some pretty good. Here are some bone men, the guys I was telling you about. That their skeleton is the only thing that you can see. The flesh and everything else is transparent, and they're fighting against this monster with just flimsy spears or lances over there. Well, what I think of this book is that it's an amazing book. It's one of my favorite RPG products. I can understand why some people will not like it. It's not for everyone. it's really a book for somebody who has faced tough situations and understands exactly what fantasy and reality is, and understands what it is to face the horrors of real life, so that you can value or treasure moments of peace, love, and enjoyment. This book is, I really recommend it, especially if you like horror movies or you're into very scary and disturbing situations, because when you roleplay Carcosa, you actually feel like you're transported into this hostile planet where everything is trying to kill you, and there are mutations, evil robots, cyborgs, Lovecraftian nasties, evil gods. Everything is packed right here. But I think it also works better sometimes as a one-shot game, because there is no real incentive of playing a very long campaign when your characters can use the most powerful abilities and spells and weapons from the very beginning. For example, the sorcerer can get lucky and find a scroll to summon a very powerful thing. And sure, there may be bonuses when he reaches higher levels to better control the thing he's trying to call, but you don't need to get to level 15 or 20 to enjoy the full spectrum of the horrors that Carcosa hides within it. Thanks for watching my review. If you have comments, please post them, I will read them. See you later.